motel. I think Skinwalkers are staying here. If you're ever driving down Route 106 in Michigan and you see a sign for the Greenbrier Motel, you better just keep on driving, because there is something terribly wrong here, and the last thing I would want is for more people to die. I started working at the Greenbrier Motel a week ago. It wasn't a dream job by any standards. At the front desk, checking people in and out, doing some inventory in the back. I liked the peace and quiet though. As a little rundown motel on a stretch of isolated highway in Michigan, it gave me a lot of time to read and play computer games on the clock. It also helped that the owner, Frank, didn't seem to care I was a high school dropout with a rap sheet. But on the very first day, I felt that something was terribly off. For one, there was the smell. When the wind shifted, the entire parking lot smelled like rotting meat. I ran to close the windows, but even then I could still smell it, seeping in through the HVAC system. The motel is surrounded by deep woods, so I figured maybe we were near the kill grounds of some animal. Or maybe it was just the endless roadkill of deer and possums on the highway. Either way, it was unsettling, and definitely not enjoyable. The other thing that struck me as odd were the guests' rooms. Some of them didn't have windows, and it seemed like that was intentional. I could see the lines in the paint, the seams outlining where windows had once been. When I asked Frank, he told me that some of the guests asked for windowless rooms, that they were in high demand. He didn't elaborate, and honestly, I was a little scared to press him on it. Things went from strange to downright creepy, however, as soon as Frank left. As I got set up at my desk, a woman walked into the room. She was in her 40s maybe, with black hair and very pale skin. As soon as she stepped inside, she locked the door behind her. "Frank left, right?" she asked me. "Yeah," I replied. "Oh, who are you?" She introduced herself as Matilda. She'd been working here for a decade, cleaning the motel rooms after the guests checked out. After a few minutes of small talk, she suddenly came up to the counter and lowered her voice. "I want to make sure you're safe around here," she said, glancing back towards the door nervously. "So I need you to listen to me." "Okay." My heart dropped. Okay? Whatever you do, don't ask questions. Just check people in, check them out, and mind your own business. And then, you'll be fine. Whatever you do, don't ask questions. Just check people in, check them out, and mind your own business. And then, you'll be fine. My stomach did a little flip. Okay, so it was that kind of motel. Illegal business of multiple kinds, probably, all being conducted under our dilapidated roof. What if the police come? Will I be arrested too? She gave me a blank stare. The police? Say they find evidence of illegal activity in one of the rooms. Will that get me in trouble? I already have shoplifting on my record and can't. She shook her head. Don't worry about the police. Just don't ask questions. And don't make eye contact or look at their faces for too long. I swallowed. They don't want witnesses. They don't want me to be able to pick them out of a lineup. I thought, okay, I won't ask questions, and I won't look at them for too long. Got it. She smiled at me. You have nothing to worry about. As it turned out, though, I had quite a lot to worry about. That night, I checked in 3 people. They were almost like caricatures. A big, strong guy in sunglasses that looked like he'd stepped right out of The Godfather. A woman dressed to the nines wearing more makeup than a clown. A skinny young guy in a hoodie that smelled of something chemical and strange. But I listened to Matilda. I didn't ask questions. I didn't even ask the questions I should have been asking, like when hoodie guy gave me an ID that was clearly fake. Don't ask questions and you'll be fine. I kept repeating that to myself, and I kept my eyes glued to the computer screen, never even glancing up at them. When it hit midnight, I assumed that the rest of the night would be smooth sailing. On this lonely stretch of highway, it was unlikely anyone else would check in. I pulled up Minesweeper and played some music on my phone. My peace and quiet, however, was interrupted by the door swinging open. At 2 a.m., I glanced up to see the guy in sunglasses, the guy who looked like he'd stepped out of The Godfather. Oh no, I should have locked the door. I swallowed and kept my eyes glued to the computer screen as he approached. "Can I help you?" I asked, watching him in my peripheral vision. "Do you have any razors for purchase?" I froze. Razors? At 2 a.m., I instantly got a mental image of him slashing someone up in his room. Blood all over the sheets, soaking into the carpet. No, we don't have any razors," I said, keeping my eyes on the computer screen. "Can you just check in the back, please?" I swallowed. I really didn't want to go check. As soon as I turned around, he could do anything. Pull out a gun, tackle me, force me into a chokehold and keep me hostage. But refusing him was just as bad, if not worse. It might make him mad. Really mad. I sat there, staring at Minesweeper on the screen, weighing my options, paying close attention to him out of the corner of my eye. And that's when I saw it. There was something off about this guy. His sunglasses looked like they were slightly too low on his face, like the eyes they were covering weren't in quite the right place. And not only that, but I couldn't see his eyebrows poking above the frames, or the contours of his brow ridge. Everything above the glasses was perfectly flat and smooth, like he had no eye sockets at all. "Can you check in the back, please?" he asked again, his voice taking on an annoyed tone. "Yes, sure." I sprung out of the seat and ducked into the back storage area. I quickly glanced over my shoulder to make sure he wasn't following me, but he wasn't. I had half a mind to just stay there, hiding out in the back storage room, until I heard his voice calling me. "Did you find them?" He sounded angry, approaching furious. Thankfully, I did find a few packaged razors next to some spare toothbrushes and soap we kept. I grabbed them and handed them over, keeping my eyes trained on the floor. "Thank you," he said, sounding pleased. And that was it. He turned around and left. As soon as the door shut, I ran over and locked it, closed the blinds, and sat back down at the front desk, my heart hammering in my chest. All I could picture were the strange contours of his face. I realized something. All 3 guests I'd checked in since the start of my shift, the Godfather guy, the makeup woman, and the hoodie guy had something covering their face or head. The woman wore so much makeup it cracked around her eyes and lips, and her false eyelashes looked like spider legs. The hoodie guy kept his hood so tight I couldn't see his ears or hair. It felt like they all had something to hide. Morning couldn't come soon enough. When the day shift arrived, I got out of there fast, drove home and slept, haunted by nightmares of faceless people and spidery eyelashes. Then it was time for night 2. It was quieter, thankfully. Although the vacancy sign glowed in the dark, no one checked in during my shift, and I enjoyed some reading until midnight, when I heard a loud slam. I ran to the window. The door to room 16 was wide open, but no one was outside. The room was dark, and it hadn't been booked for tonight. Should I go out and close it? I hesitated, thinking if someone was there and attacked me, no one would hear me scream. So I checked the security camera feed instead. The door had opened, and a woman with long dark hair had walked out of it before disappearing into room 22. I checked the computer. Room 22 was booked to Cassandra Johnson. Was she sneaking into other rooms? I opened the door and headed toward room 16, deciding against confronting Cassandra. I'd just lock up and go back to the lobby. But as I got closer, a horrible rotting smell wafted from the room. My stomach churned. I reached into the dark room, turned on the light, and saw it look normal except for a tan, folded material, avoiding guests with hats, sunglasses, or too much makeup. But then came the night of November 14th. It was raining hard, and I wasn't expecting anyone. But then a man in a hoodie knocked on the window, aggressively asking for a room, Slipping the mace in my pocket, I let him in. He leaned close over the counter, smelling like mothballs, urging me to hurry up as I fumbled with the slow computer. His name, he said, was Daniel Jones Fake, I thought, but who cared? He paid in cash and asked me to escort him to his room. I didn't want to, but he got angry, so I reluctantly agreed, following him in the rain. He kept stalling outside his room, inserting and removing the key, his blue eyes watching me closely. Suddenly I realized he wasn't trying to get inside, he was stalling. I pulled out my mace, and then I heard it. Someone whistling behind me. It was the same eerie tune from before. The man admitted I needed pay. Panicking, I turned to see someone walking through the rain, barely lit by a flaring street lamp. I ran back to the lobby, but when I peeked through the blinds, I saw the woman from room 22 again, smiling with wide, pale blue eyes. The man from room 7 ran at her with a dagger, but as I called 911, the woman's body twisted unnatural, her neck stretching, and she killed him in seconds. Then she looked at me, her features returning to normal, and walked back to room 22. The police arrived, and when they checked her room, she looked completely normal. I showed them the security tapes, and they grew grim, mentioning something about an infestation. One officer warned me, "You didn't see anything tonight." Terrified, I agreed and never went back. But after sleepless nights, I realized I had to warn people. If you're ever driving through Michigan and see a vacancy at the Green Brier Motel, keep driving.